What's happening, folks? What's going on? A quick lunch break. You know we on the clock, and so some of us gotta be mindful of the amount of time that we spend on the internet, and so
I'm only
that
allowed a half hour of acting up a day, and this is it.
yeah, you know. That being said, we got some things we got to get to, and so missing our compadre. Maybe he'll join us, maybe he won't. But shout out Graham.
Shout out,
I know
Graham.
the first thing that we're talking about is Father's Day, man. And so Father's Day for you. I know you are a proud father. And
I
so,
am. I
man,
am.
talk to me about what Sunday means to you, from the perspective of you being a son, and the perspective from the perspective of you being a father.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's crazy. I was raised by a man who did not have the privilege of being raised by his father, and despite that, he was the best pops I could have ever asked for. And so, when I think about Father's Day, I think about legacy. I think about pulling that forward and trying to be the best dad I can be, and just sort of spending time with family, spending time with the kids, and doing what I can. I love Father's Day. It's an opportunity to sit down and just be with family in deep way.
Yeah, man. Shout out to you, man. I respect it. G, I'm not forcing this on you. This is one of those things to where you can share if you would like. If you would like not to share, I understand and respect that, and will love you anyway. It's your first Father's Day, and
Yeah.
how are
Yeah.
you feeling? Like, how are you feeling?
Yeah, man. I'm excited. It feels kind of weird, to be honest. Like I, spend a large part of my life celebrating other fathers, including my own. And my dad passed away a couple years ago, and so there was a little gap of like no Father's Day celebrations, and so it's cool to be able to kind of carry on that legacy of fatherhood in the Brown family. And so I'm happy for it. We got some family photos taken last week, and I'm gonna put one up on my phone. I think hopefully you should be able to see it. See.
There it is. Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's get
Let's
it. Let's
Yeah,
go.
right?
go.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm about to get that like blown up like this big, like with my backdrop. But
As you
yeah,
You
should.
might have
As
to
you
use. You
should.
might have to move that brown pennant. I'm not sure. Maybe that's where it
yo,
goes.
Oh.
yeah, there's more than enough room for both. There's more than enough room for both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yo,
man.
hey, because you know if he had to pick one or the other, Brown goes up.
Oh man, how you feeling, Ray?
Yeah, how you
Man,
feeling?
I'm blessed, man. You know, Father's Day is one of those days for me, man. I pride myself on being the father of the year every day. And so for my kids to acknowledge me one day out of the 365 days, I feel I feel blessed and lucky. I feel blessed and lucky. I got two people walking around, two kids walking around here with no tuition to worry about, unlike me. And yeah, it's a blessing, man. My son's birthday is actually on Sunday as well, so we get to
Oh, nice.
celebrate twice. With him being a Gemini and being born on the same day as Pac, Tupac, and so yeah, we
That's dope.
yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it big this Sunday. Make
Love that.
sure he has everything he needs, and hopefully he can make sure I have everything I need, and vice versa. Well, so Bad Boys 3. Before I'm sorry, Bad Boys whatever this is. This is
4.
4.
Yeah, that's
Four.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are we seeing it? Are we still protesting? What's happening?
I don't know if Will Smith was ever like canceled like that. I feel like he was just on timeout. Everybody was like, hey, go in the corner, go think about what you did, and
Yeah.
we'll be ready to receive you when you're ready to come back.
I just
Fair
think,
enough. Hey, fair enough.
I'm excited to see that Martin Lawrence and I have gone to the same nutritionist. So I want to see him run around trying to be a cop, chasing people.
Well, the funny thing, I was watching For Life, Bad Boys for Life, which I think is the third installment the other day,
Yeah.
just so that I can catch up. So when I get into this theater, I'm not having
You don't need
nostalgia
previously
or
on.
something. Right? Yeah, absolutely. And so, but I'm concerned, man. I've seen Martin in different stages of existence, and he don't look the same, man. And I understand the whole argument, the adage of we're getting old and like all this other stuff and that, but like his old look different. Like he like might be something wrong. And I know that there was some mental challenges that he had in LA a couple of years back and whatnot. And I'm just praying for him to make sure that he's getting what he needs or whatever. It's June, it's mental health month.
Yeah.
And I would like to encourage folks that are watching this, folks that are listening, to make sure that you take care of your mentals. And taking care of your mentals comes in all stages and forms of making sure your mental health is straight. And the one thing that I would definitely add to that is that in our community, man, that there's a stigma, a huge stigma between folks going and getting themselves checked out on the mental aspect of things and whatnot.
Yeah. Getting help.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I'm excited. He'll be making a check. People go see it. It should be all right. I may wait for it to come out on streaming. I'm not sure I'm going to. I'm not going to a theater for that one.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, fair enough. Hey, it's already doing its numbers though. I feel like it did what 53 million the first week out or whatever, or was on pace to do 100 million. So if it does 100 million, that's success nowadays.
Yeah, man. It's
So
a lot of money.
Will Smith to be back at the block, be doing blockbuster shows or whatever. Shout out to him.
After being time out. Just don't say nothing about the missus. That's why we're gonna keep it quiet.
Oh yeah, you gotta keep it quiet. Listen, I'm not saying nothing about her.
No way.
Hey, Illuminati is real, bro. I'm not.
Illuminati is real.
So, a question for you guys, right? So we're all basketball fans. We're all Knicks fans. Diehard heavy Knicks in the building. Just got my season tickets today. Shout out Knicks. I'm sending them your way, so we could double up. I know Steve is not allowed to be out in public, so I'm not even gonna send the guy. he can only go to bottom line events.
I paid that money, a lot of money for that TV, and everybody's real close.
Hey, fair enough. So the LA Lakers job, right? So LA Lakers job, Danny Hurley turned it down. Danny Hurley is the coach currently at UConn, back-to-back national championships at UConn. Shout UConn out. He turned that deal down. They wanted him to come on and coach the Lakers. Now, guys, do you feel like that Lakers job is like the most unwanted job in basketball?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of eyeballs on it. There are a lot of opinions, and you've got an aging superstar having more influence and say than probably should.
Yeah.
Even though he's a legend, but yeah, it's rough, man. It's kind of the circus that the Knicks were for a long time.
Yeah.
And just trying to chase their tails, man. I don't know.
Don't be saying nothing about Melo. I hear you. Don't be saying nothing about
Bro, I wouldn't take that job. It reminds me of schools, right? Like schools that have had this huge success or whatever, and then they want a new leader to come in and take the school over because it's not in its glory days or in its glory stages or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so if I come in, I want to come in with all new personnel. I want to come in with making sure that I'm able to make the changes that I need to make. And not have to worry about the egos that are currently in the building. It would be a hard sell for me to take a job with LeBron in the building, knowing that he has as much influence that he has over the program. I don't want to I like Bronny, like Lil Bronny. I like Bronny. I don't want to pick Bronny. I think Bronny should be a free agent or something and walk into camp and have to earn a spot. I don't want to waste a second round draft pick on Bronny because LeBron is going to be unhappy if I don't do so. Like, I don't want to have to succumb to those types of pressure.
Or go the other way. In the 70s in baseball, they used to have player coaches, right? The manager of the team also played, right? And so if let's just lean into the fact that it's LeBron's team, right? And let him be a player coach. Let him take on both responsibilities, because that's essentially what it is right now, right? You're a second voice. Like, you're coaching. Every time you say something, you're looking over him, making sure he's okay with what you're saying. And that's no way to lead. There's no way to try to coach, right? And so they should just lean in. If that's what they want, let LeBron be coach. It'll be something different. It'll be more of a show for the Lakers to come and watch him try to play and coach at the same time. It'll sell tickets, right? And then he can pick anybody he wants to pick, right? And he can do whatever he needs to do. But don't pretend like that's a real coaching job, because it's not.
Yeah.
Yo, that is an excellent take. What, you been watching TV? You've been watching what's
me and Stephen A. I be hanging out with Stephen A. all the time.
You've been waiting like you've been watching Dan Leotard or something. Like, you just smooth came in there like Poppy. Yeah.
That was impressive, actually.
And that's the bottom line.
Wow. Okay. All right. Let me step my game up. All right. So let me set the stage up for the real conversation. And this is why the folks are here. Just like if you're teaching the class, you got to have your warm up before you get to you got to have your do now and your warm up before you get to the main lesson. All right. So we are talking today about the Regents exam. So come this fall, New York State has sourced out a blue ribbon committee comprised of many folks, many experts, to take a look at assessments. And so one of the assessments that is under review is a century, matter of fact, it might be a couple centuries old test called the Regents test, which was initially sanctioned by the Board of Regents in order to measure student aptitude in New York State in high school. And so, what are y'all's initial thoughts on this blue ribbon committee saying, "Hey, we about to snatch this Regents and put some other things in place"?
It's ironic because my oldest right now is taking a Regents as we speak. He is in the middle of his science Regents, doing what he's got to do right now. I think it's really easy for folks to believe that they can replace a standardized test with something different that potentially is going to be less biased, that potentially isn't going to have the same implications, right? And I think those of us, I spent a long time, as you all know, as you both know, working for a test assessment organization. Spent a long time working. Building tests are hard. Building assessments are hard. Even if you want to build an assessment that is not, all multiple choice, right? These things are really difficult. And to assume that you can replace the Regents with something and have it be a meaningful assessment of a student's readiness to be out of to move on from high school, I think it's a joke. I'd rather they work on the replacement first before even thinking about getting rid of the Regents. But they want to. I think they want the splashy headlines, right? They want this to be a thing that everyone is talking about, getting rid of the Regents as part of their measures. But I have real doubts as to what comes in its place, because often what comes in its place is something that's a lot worse.
Yeah. Bro, I don't know what's been going on, yo. You've been practicing. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's how I like getting in the booth with people that take this serious.
I realize I'm wearing gray, and now my beard is just like hiding in my shirt. Like, it's showing me how gray so maybe I'm feeling my age right now. So it's that wisdom pop.
Yo, that's what I'm talking about, yo. All right. G, what's happening? What are your thoughts?
That's some top tier commentary, man. I was thinking about this and how in state policy, general education policy, sometimes what we need is a moonshot, right? Some big audacious goal that otherwise wouldn't be the next incremental thing that policymakers want to do, that would spur innovation, that would make bigger changes possible. Think about something like the like Affordable Care Act and like Obamacare, and like how that was like a big moonshot that then created lots of logistical and technical challenges, right? Like there was like the rollout, there were a lot of bugs. It was really difficult to manage. But then ultimately, if we were able to sustain the innovation through those bumps along the road, like on the other end, we would have like a better product that ended up serving more people. I think with this, there aren't enough folks actually thinking through what that innovation and what that rollout is going to look like. I think it will lead to a lot of loopholes and people taking advantage of the weaknesses or deficiencies in the current assessment system, whether it's comprehensive assessments, portfolios, other alternative measures that will perpetuate a lot of the inequality in our education system, as opposed to leveling the playing field for folks. But I do like the idea of kind of catalyzing these changes by saying, like, we're going to do something different. We're getting rid of these exams. We know that that's not it. We can't sit on our laurels for 100 years. But I'm concerned about the rollout and what's going to replace it.
Yeah.
All right.
But let me just say this too. I feel like standardized tests take the hit for the problems in teaching and learning, right? Like I feel like standardized tests, people look at them and they be like, oh, they're not equitable, they're biased. Look at the way, Black and brown students perform. And I get that, right? And I understand that.
And you don't think a teacher-made assessment is going to be biased with 80% white teachers?
That's my point. I mean, like, we're yelling at the measuring stick instead of what's being measured. What's being measured is what's being taught and learned in schools. And so, but I feel like the tests get the heat when really we should be setting the heat down to like the instructional design, what's happening in classrooms, what's happening in schools. And so, like, that's part of it too. Like, I think if you think you're just going to change an assessment and suddenly we're going to have a better, more equitable system, you're fooling yourself.
Yeah.
All right. So going solo layout because I'm about to jump in here, ready to take all the heat, ready to take all the smoke.
I need my sign. I need my sign.
First and foremost, if you look at the current makeup of the Regents exam, and I was talking to some educators about some of the tests recently. I remember taking the U.S. history exam, and it kind of rivaled the citizenship exam. You had to know content, you had to know things in order to take that test. Nowadays, the Regents has been watered down. It's basically a reading comprehension test. So if you know how to read, there's ways for you to go in and like find answers, write responses in order for you to get enough credits in order for you to pass the test. So it's not even a content-based test anymore. It's a watered down version of if you can read or not. And so to now say we're going to take this test away in its totality, I mean, what are we trying to do here? Are we trying to make sure that our kids are ready for college or what, right? Because like when I think about high stakes tests, I think about the tests that come after. And so this is setting the stage for the MCAT. It's setting the stage for the LSAT. It's setting the stage for the GRE. It's setting the stage for all of these tests in order for you to be able to experience success at the next levels of life. And so one thing that I will say, though, is that having an alternative form or way to assess students is meaningful if educators buy in. But if educators don't buy in, then it's not meaningful at all. It's just a waste of time. And so for a student that that may be able to show their mastery from other ways of being assessed, I'm all for this. For kids that are identified as special education students, there definitely should be a focus in terms of alternatively assessing these students as well. And I like it from that aspect, but in terms of getting kids ready for college and being able to assess if they're going to be successful in college, bro, you see these good elite people like the school that Graham went to over there, bringing back the SAT.
He's just shaking his head at you. He's just like.
I'm sure this is what my mom thought would happen when she was like, "You should go to these schools. It's gonna be good for your future." It's like, nah, you're just gonna catch strays all day.
I'm not even sure that was a stray, man. There was aiming there.
No, but listen. So, but think about it though, right? When we were talking about college admittance or whatever, we were thinking about just everything that that our kids was experienced during COVID learning loss, all these other things. You had these colleges that like, yo, they came out with their chests out, man. Like, hey, we want this thing to be more equitable. We want to make sure that we're doing all the things. And then after everybody stopped talking about COVID, it was like, we ain't doing these things no more. You better submit that SAT. You won't be coming here.
But I mean, it's that multiple measure thing, right? Though, like if you're in a classroom, you're not going to rely on one test, one assessment to determine whether a student knows and what they don't know, right? Multiple measures are important, and I think that's what's important here is that like I feel like the regions are different because they're subject by subject by subject, right? If we were talking about it was one big assessment to determine your readiness for college, like an SAT, right? Then I can see the heat, right? But like we are talking like subject area content, and it's comes after a full class, midterms and finals, right? There is a host of data that follows that Regents for students through the process. And so it doesn't, to me, it's like it is a measure that is added to multiple measures to determine student readiness. And so that's when I'm like, well, what else are you going to do? Like, where's the other
how can
thing?
So let's think about some of these more difficult Regents exams that are subject matter related, right? How are you doing a final presentation or a project on telling me that you mastered geometry? Like I would love to see how that looks.
Especially at the scale of that we're talking about in New York State, right? The number of high school students. And then you saw people saying, and we saw a comment before, oh, AI. Do you want AI score in those students' papers with all of the issues around AI? You know what I mean? Like that's the issue. Is like, how do you then evaluate and determine whether that's a good submission when you are talking about tens of thousands of submissions of different articles of paper, maybe millions?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you know how this how this changes the landscape of teacher education programs in New York State. If they change this, then now you have to start teaching in teacher ed programs on how to grade portfolios, how to assess project-based learning, and it's all these other things that you now have to bring higher ed in on. And are they going to be bought in? I mean, hell, Graham, I know that you may not say it. I'm gonna say it for you. Matter of fact, I'll go solo again because it needs to be said. It needs to be said. Bro, I get teachers every year that have gone through 4 years of learning to become a teacher and will get to me on day one and will not know any of the things that I need for them to know in order for them to be successful teachers in the classroom with our population of students. And so if we're now asking for teachers to be retrained on how to assess using different modes of assessment, I think that's a far reach given how they already come to us. As a matter of fact, I'm going back solo.
Welcome to Ray's TED Talk.
Higher ed, you guys owe me money because you're not doing jack for these teachers. I'm having to come in. My principals are having to come in. We're having to retrain these teachers in order to be able to push students and motivate students and do all the things. You guys are just taking 8 semesters of tuition and you're not doing nothing for these folks in terms of making them be good teachers. Y'all owe me. I'll put my cash up next show. My cash app up next show. Like, bro, come on. Let's be real here.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, especially in the sense that like it's a continuum, right? Like what we learn in classrooms and what we learn about the experience of our students, it has to flow back in a fast feedback loop to the institutions of higher education that are training these teachers, and they're like I could count on one hand the number of times I've ever been asked for feedback or input to provide input to a graduate school about the lived experience of students and teachers in my school, and the challenges that they face, and how they might want to rethink different modules and parts of the pedagogical foundation that they are giving these teachers. It's that circle doesn't exist. And so when you make changes that impact how we measure standards and college readiness or post-secondary readiness for high school students, that doesn't involve that loop, like then that gap is just going to keep getting wider and wider, and those teachers are going to come out of those programs even further and further behind their ability to actually get students to the next level.
And I would argue that is the reason why colleges think about going back to the SAT and the ACT, right? And we think about this school by school in a particular state. Think about this state by state, the number of high schools that are out there trying to educate our young people, right? And trying to assess whether the assessment and the evaluation of that student's readiness for college across a variety of different high schools, across a variety of different learning environments, across a variety of different, right? You need something that is a bit more standardized to help you assess against that content. And I'm not sitting here saying, the SAT is the be all end all. I know it's not, right? But the reality is, when you are faced with that much diversity of approach, of skill, of assessment type, of variability in just the curriculum in and of itself, you need something to help standardize the way you're evaluating whether or not a student's going to be successful at your institution. Yeah. If that's what you're caring to do, if what you want to know is like who's going to be successful, you need that information, because you can't always trust what you're seeing from high schools across the country.
Yeah, one thing that I've seen that I think tries to get to that question is have y'all heard of the Mastery Transcript Consortium?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're like, in a nutshell, like their philosophy is there is a better way to assess student readiness, and it's sort of a portfolio of skills that students can demonstrate versus just the pass rate on math, science, social studies, etc. And it's about like leadership readiness and critical thinking, and like creating a set of standards that you can demonstrate through different tasks and activities to demonstrate your mastery and your ability to kind of think through multiple stages of a problem, or to demonstrate resilience, etc. That many schools have started to adopt. Not very many schools in New York, partially because of the regents, because ultimately that's the kind of overarching thing. But what's interesting is that there's a set of schools in New York that are all those kind of elite private high schools, like Dalton and Fieldston and Horace Mann. Might get them all wrong, but that cluster of schools all agreed to use these things because they see the inherent value in shifting the focus away from these kind of be all end all tests, and have the capacity and resources to implement this new transcript system. But they had to do it together. Like, you couldn't be the only school like on an island being like, we have this alternative measure that we think really captures if a student's ready for your institution. But like, if you look at the other school that has, GPA 6.0 on it, and you're like, well, I guess I'm going to take GPA instead. So they kind of work together, to not put any of those schools at a disadvantage, and any of those kind of new changes would have to happen wholesale. Across a geography or a sector, or maybe even nationwide, in order for it to stick.
And they have the benefit, right, of having large brand names that also communicate something anyway. So even if it was, what is this new thing, right? The fact that a school's getting it from Dalton or Horace Mann, they're going to be like, oh, okay, this must be real. Like, it communicates just through the brand identity, right? Like Thomas Jefferson High School in Insert City, right? Doesn't have that brand for the most part with most colleges, right? And so there's that lack of information, particularly when you're talking about significant scale. We're talking about most colleges seeing thousands of applications each year that need to be processed. It's a lot.
All right. Final thoughts. You're sticking with the man that's hot. You gotta go to the man when you hot. You gotta give him the rock. Steve, on you.
I think LeBron James should be the next coach of the Lakers, and he should hire Martin Lawrence as his GM, and they should take Bronny and then take over the West Coast, take over the league. That's my hot take.
G.
Oh man, I have a question. What's like a good Father's Day gift? Like, what should I be excited or expecting to receive? Like, like hear this.
Whatever you end up buying for yourself, because the rest of it's gonna be
Yo, my man.
All right.
Yo,
All right.
you should ask for permission to buy your own gift.
All right, I like that.
Yo, I am the best gift giver to myself.
I know exactly what I want.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's your final thought?
Yeah.
All right, bet. I got a final thought. All right. My final thought for you is for you parents out here talking about do no harm on these tests, right? So do no harm, for people that don't know, is that you have a group of parents that want for the Regents to mean nothing. So they want you to teach this course for the whole year, and then once you take the exam, they want that exam to not count towards your final grade. I'm all against that. That's absolutely insane for a teacher to have worked with your kid for the whole year and for that grade that they earn on that test to count for absolutely nothing. I think that it should count for something. It teaches our kids that they need to be accountable. It teaches them that they need to study hard. It teaches them that they need to work hard. Because one thing's for certain, when you get to these prestigious universities like the ones that Graham went to, you're not going to be able to say that this test should do no harm for me. And so that is my final thought. My final stray for the day.
Just want to say that Brown University is a wonderful institution.
Yeah, 100%. All right, folks. We'll check you out next week. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.